Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. I am Zazubaar, and today I am welcoming my good friend LEGOMANIAC. LEGOMANIAC, say hi.
Hello, everyone.
And today we're going to be talking about something that I can't believe I've actually been able to dodge talking about for these past few months. Today we're going to be talking about the amazing Spider-Man.
Yes, it's quite a topic that is going to be coming about. It's going to be coming out July 3rd of this year. I'm going to talk a little bit about the movie, a little bit about the game, because not only is it a big step for the movie, but it's also a big step for the gaming franchise. So, Zazubaar, why don't you start us off?
I will indeed, thank you. So I think the logical place to start is the movie, since that's kind of how this whole ball got started going.
Pretty much, yeah.
The Amazing Spider-Man is not the first reboot to happen only a couple years after the initial franchise got going. If you'll remember, another Marvel movie came out a few years ago called The Incredible Hulk, which was also a reboot.
It was.
Yeah, and that came out only a couple years after Ang Lee's Hulk, which was also a box office disappointment.
Yeah, it was. It's not the best Marvel movie, I have to say. But
no, not at all. Not quite as good as Avengers at all.
I am actually seeing that movie tomorrow.
Oh, for the first time?
Yes.
All right, so I won't talk about it anymore because it's filled with spoilers. Anyway, so back to Amazing Spider-Man. So what I wanted to ask you was, do you think it's too soon for a new Spider-Man movie that's not in the same continuity after Spider-Man 3, or do you think it's perfect amount of time, or the time doesn't really matter?
I don't think the time really matters because Spider-Man is such a big icon. I definitely think, I don't think they really could have made a sequel to Spider-Man 3 due to the kind of big plot holes. I definitely think this movie's gonna be good. It definitely is a lot closer to the comic books, which I actually kind of envy because I'm shivering, I'm sorry. The room is very cold. But, yeah. So, yeah.
It looks a lot closer to Ultimate than I think people were expecting.
Yes. Suit.
Yeah, the costume looks a little bit more realistic, like the Ultimate costume, but mainly, Peter Parker looks to be about the same age or similarly aged to the Ultimate version, so, I'll be honest, I've read a good chunk of Ultimate Spider-Man, and most of it's actually really good, so if they're drawing from Ultimate, I think we got a good movie in store here.
Yes.
Now, the thing about this movie, with the costume, I guess I want to talk about quickly is I really hated it the first time I saw it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a change due to the they added a lot more blue, incorporated a lot of blue in the costume. The spider's a tad bigger. The shoes, I know a lot of people have been talking about the shoes. They're like, oh, the shoes look like freaking Adidas. I'm like,
yeah,
doesn't really matter. I think the shoes look actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know I think he has a utility belt now.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice that.
I'm pretty sure he does if you look at a picture.
That's actually kind of cool. I hope they incorporate the famous Spidey light, which it was in the comics, which we haven't seen on screen yet.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna search up the picture now.
Alright, sure. I'll have one up anyway for this video. Yeah, I don't know. I really hated it the first time I saw it for a couple reasons. Well, I shouldn't even say that, because when we first saw the costume, we actually didn't see him with the mask on. And the mask was
It was a picture of, Andrew Garfield kind of like looking down. I'm actually looking at it.
Yeah, he looks...
Right now, he's kind of
he's looking all
beat
depressed.
up.
Yeah.
But, I think that wasn't the best picture to go with to kind of send it off.
Yeah.
I think they should have definitely went with, maybe like him, swinging around, or maybe I really like the picture where it's Peter Parker, and he's regular, and he's up on the wall, and the shadow turns into the spider. And I think that is a really clever way of portraying that.
Yeah, that's a cool picture. And I think I agree. I think they should have started out with something like that, where you didn't even really see any part of the costume.
Yeah.
Because I think if they would have gotten people excited for the movie itself first, you know, not showing really anything else, I think they would have been better off when they showed the costume, because people would have kind of been more accepting of it. Now with that picture, again, we didn't have the mask on, and at first glance, it looks very, very similar to what Tobey Maguire wore in the first 3 Spider-Man films. But then it must have been a couple months later, maybe a little more than that, we got the mask. And my first big problem with the mask is the gold eyes.
Yes, definitely the mask. When they revealed it, they definitely made some changes.
For sure.
Yeah, the Spider-Man 1, 2, 3 with Tobey Maguire, he had, I think it was silver, more of.
Yeah, they looked a lot closer to the comics. They were more white and clear, and they definitely weren't gold.
Yeah, they weren't gold. And they're not like, they're gold, but they're not as gold as, like, you know, strong gold would be. They're kind of a lightish tint, but you know, it looks you know, if they're going for like a comic look, they're a little off on that. But
yeah, and it would seem to me that they're not really going for a comic look, because the director Mark Webb has really been kind of saying that I'm not really a big Spider-Man fan, and we're more just taking from, he said in interviews that he's more looking to Ultimate for inspiration.
Yeah,
and that's definitely present in what we're going to get with the story, but with the costume look, you can tell that he's trying to make this a little bit more like Nolan's Batman films, because the costume looks very, very homemade and stitched together. Kind of in the same, I guess, the same kind of mindset as Christopher Nolan made Christian Bale's Batman suit look, which was a little bit more armory. It looked a little bit more like military gear. So I can see the idea of, well, we've got a younger...
A little bit more modern, I guess. A little more like, it's kind of like, you know...
Especially with the shoes.
Yes, definitely with the shoes. I think they're a little makeshift, but, you know, I actually kind of like the design of the shoes. They're definitely good.
Yeah, and I kind of like the homemade aspect of it, but, you know, because in the first movie, we were all kind of like, where'd he get the fancy costume from when he was just wearing that piece of crap at the wrestling rink? So I like that it at least looks like he could have made this costume at home. So I'm glad with that. But
I definitely like.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but it looks very good. Looks very natural. It's not like they really, like, you know, screwed up what the costume's supposed to look like. When I first noticed when I saw the costume, I'm like, wow, they really incorporated blue. There's blue in the hands, blue in the arms, blue on the legs. Like, there's usually just blue in the legs, blue kind of under the arms, but they definitely incorporated a lot of blue, which I was kind of surprised for. But they still have the red look, and, like, you know, and it looks good.
You can definitely tell that it's Spider-Man by looking at it. I mean, it's not like it's unrecognizable. It's still that iconic look. And with the blue thing, though, I noticed that too. There's blue everywhere now. I mean, it's on the hands. Like you said, it's everywhere.
Yeah, like they really incorporated it. They, like, I don't know what they would think. Like, I think it looks good with the blue, but I think they maybe could have stepped it down a little bit.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it was ultimately that they were... that's kind of a nice pun. I think it was ultimately because they were trying to depart from the look of the Tobey Maguire costume.
Yeah, because, like, if they just reimagined, like, you know, the Tobey Maguire outfit, then, it'd be, you know, pretty lame, because it'd be like, you know, new Spider-Man movie, but it's the same outfit. I'm actually gonna send you a link right now. It's it's a suit actually for the game. It's the Vigilante suit, and this might be something for the movie. It's if you take a look at it, I don't know if it'll bring you up, but it says Vigilante suit, and it's kind of like, you know, natural clothes, kind of like the wrestling look, except it has a kind of red latex mask. This might be a spoiler or like a hint to, like, this is what because, like, in all the comics with Spider-Man, he has to do something, like, to kind of prove that he has powers, like he goes in a wrestling ring or like something like that.
Which we know we're not going to get with this movie. Mark Webb has come out and said that the one aspect of the origin that he's not doing is the wrestling thing. Not saying I'm complaining. Not that that's an integral part of his origin, but it's not that
big. I don't know if this is gonna happen, because I haven't been seeing it in the trailer, because in the Spider-Man 1, the big part of the story was that Uncle Ben died, and I'm not seeing in, like, this movie that he's really dying, because usually, like, the theme of him is like, oh, my uncle died, and now I gotta go get revenge. Like, what I'm seeing now is, like, he just wants to figure out who his parents are, and I actually think that is a pretty good story, because I've read comics, but I haven't read all of them. But I definitely do want to learn about his parents, because they definitely put in some cliffhangers.
Yeah, and the parents thing, they're doing it a little differently than how I remember in the comics, because if you recall, for those of you who have read the storylines with his parents, they were spies, and they were suspected committers of treason, I guess would be the word. Oh, by the way, I'm looking at that vigilante costume now, and damn, that's a little bit more impressive than the wrestling costume.
Yeah, I know. Because this is for the game, and it's a PS3 exclusive, which kind of pissed me off because I have Xbox. And
yeah,
because with PS3, I'm just gonna go off topic. They always get everything. They get the Joker for Batman. They got probably something. I think they got something else for Arkham City, and now they're getting this.
With Arkham City, I think we just got extra Riddler maps.
Yeah, I don't think we got that either.
Yeah.
But I don't really care about this that much, because I reserved the game on Amazon, so I get to play as Stan Lee. Yes,
cool.
And I think I think it's gonna be good because the plot's kind of good. Like, oh, Stan Lee's making a new comic, and like it blows out his window and he gets Spider-Man powers. And I think that's just hilarious, because it's like an 80-year. I don't know how old he is. He's like 80 or 70s.
Yeah, late 70s for sure. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, you just have to imagine like someone of that physique, just like with Spider-Man powers, and what they're incorporating like into the game. It's just like, it's definitely something that
it's hysterical.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But anyway.
So I'm looking at that vigilante costume now, and I'm sure with this movie, it's confusing because the directors come out and said that they're gonna do Spider-Man's origin over multiple films, which doesn't make any sense in my mind, because the only thing that tells me, and this is perhaps stretching a little bit, is that he doesn't mean that we're not gonna have the exact origin in this movie. I think what he's meaning is that we're gonna understand all the dimensions around the origin in the next movies. Like, we're gonna understand where the spider came from, why it bit Peter, stuff like that.
Oh, in this movie, you mean?
Well, I think
is that what you're saying, or you're saying there's a sequel?
Well, no, they already greenlit the sequel.
They greenlit the sequel. Awesome.
There's already a script. There was already a script.
Well, I'm looking forward to it already, even though I haven't seen the first one.
Oh my god, Marvel's going crazy with their sequels.
I think that Marvel they're definitely doing a lot better than they were.
They're definitely doing better than DC's doing in terms of their movies.
Yes, and their movies, definitely.
How many movies does DC have coming out this summer? Oh yeah, one.
Yeah, one. Like, Marvel, they have such a bigger roster. Like, DC, like, what do they have? They have Batman, and that's pretty much, let's be real here.
Well, they've got the whole Justice League, but
I know, they have, like, the Justice League, Superman and all them. But when it comes down to it, like, Superman, he's kind of out there. And Batman is definitely what's, like, hip and with it with DC now.
Which is funny, because he was created in 1939.
Yes, but, that's definitely, like, what they're going with. But, Marvel, they got the Avengers, which I did not see it, but I've heard from a lot of people that it was amazing.
Yeah, they're not lying. They're not lying.
Yeah, but I am seeing it tomorrow. Yeah, the Avengers, I heard the Iron Man films are very good.
Iron Man films are fantastic.
Yes.
And strangely enough,
I never see a lot of movies.
Yeah, the Iron Man films are fantastic, and I kind of actually hope that they actually go for an Iron Man tone with this thing, because the thing about Iron Man is that it completely matched comedy with drama and action. And
that's what I'm sorry, but what I like with Andrew Garfield is, I think Tobey Maguire, I think he was a good Spider-Man, but he wasn't the best Spider-Man.
The big thing about Andrew Garfield for me is that he's clearly going to be a wise-ass Peter Parker, and that's what I want.
That's what, like, Peter Parker, he's like like Peter. He's supposed to be like, oh, don't mind me, just Peter Parker. Then when he's Spider-Man, he's like, hey, I'm a freaking jackass now, and I just love that about Spider-Man because he's not like Batman who's like, oh, I have throat cancer, and like, it's like, you know, he's just like a jackass. And it's just like so funny because like a lot of superheroes, they're usually very serious. So
yeah,
this is why I like Spider-Man in that aspect, because he's a funny character. Like he like jokes around. He's like, oh, lame pun here, lame pun there. But it's like just funny because like that's how he's animated.
Yeah, it gives him life and it gives him a real characterization. And I'm glad that they're bringing that to the forefront because one aspect of this film that we're definitely getting with the trailers is that Peter Parker is going to be a character who is one way before he gets spider powers, and then the spider powers give him confidence.
Yeah, because when I saw the trailer, you know, I was kind of analyzing it a little bit, and I saw when he was like talking to Gwen Stacy, he's like, oh, what are you doing? He's like, oh, nothing. And then like, you know, he gets like shown the locker and he gets pissed off. It's yeah. A spider, and then I see him like, I'm sorry, but when he said like, oh my god, my weakness is small knives, I
that was hysterical.
I'm like, this movie is gonna be great because that just made it for me. I'm like, all right.
This movie's gonna be good now. Oh no, tiny knives! You found my one weakness, and then the guy's like, really? No.
That made it for me. And then he was just like freaking webs everywhere. I'm like, thank you, Andrew Garfield, for not being boring.
Yeah. And not that Tobey Maguire was boring, but he
wasn't boring, but he didn't match what Spider-Man was like. He was funny, but like he was just like really.
It was too inconsistent.
If he did it, it was just like the worst times. It would have to be like, he'd have to be like a happy person. He was kind of like, he came off like as really shy.
Yeah, he came off as very depressed, and that's not... Spider-Man is not that way. Spider-Man is like the opposite of depressed. Well, yeah, when he's in costume.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't say depressed, but I would definitely say like, what's the word?
Whiny, brooding.
Yeah. When he's in costume, he's definitely more confident with himself.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, look at me now. Fuck you all, make fun of me.
I've got webs now.
Like, I have web shooters, which is another good thing, which I'm going to mention now, because he has web shooters, and in the comics he was a genius, which is what they're bringing in.
Yeah, thank God. And,
it's because the plot with Spider-Man 1 through 3 was that, oh, I got bit, now I have powers, like, whoop-de-doo, like, now it gets bit. I don't know if he has the, is it abrasive, or is it, what's the word, stickum powers?
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm sure that comes with the powers, but, like, the one thing is that was part of his big characterization in the early comics was the fact that he was a genius scientist, or at least an aspiring one. Mm. So, when you got to the Tobey Maguire films, and he didn't really do that, it was just kind of like, I've got powers now and I feel obligated because one of my relatives died to put on a costume and fight crime.
Yeah, like, it was a bit of a dumbfounded plot. And it was like, it was good because it was kind of struck, like, you know, like, Uncle Ben got murdered, and it was kind of his fault because he was like, oh, go right ahead, and like, you know.
Yeah, but it makes him less proactive because now he's just saying, someone's telling him to put on a costume and fight crime, and he doesn't have to do anything to work hard to get to it because he's just got the powers. All he's got to do is get a costume, and he gets it with no explanation. But with this film, it looks like he's gonna have to construct web shooters. I'm looking at this vigilante costume again, and it is in the movie. I'm looking at set photos of him with it on.
Really?
Yeah, if you scroll down on Google a little bit, it'll show that he's in costume on the set.
I'm actually gonna send you another link. It's from the game because the game is definitely putting up a lot of more cooler pictures than the movie. Because movies are putting up like wallpapers. This is a picture of kind of a web shooter schematic. It's actually, I think it was pretty cool. It shows like, you know, how he makes it because, you know, he's a genius and stuff.
Yeah.
3D rendering components.
Oh, cool.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Is Dr. Connors the villain in this movie? Because I was confused. I was like, because it says in the trailer, it's like, you know, he uses the biohazard, you know, whatever it was. I see him stab it into him, and then there's like the lizard, which is obviously the villain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if that's him, because I know Dr. Connors, he's a pretty good guy. But then you also see that, like, did you tell him about his parents? He's like, I don't fucking know. And then, like, I don't know if it's like a punishment or like I don't know. We have to see in the movie.
Well, in the comics, Kirk Connors is not the villain. He's always the victim. And then he's kind of like the Hulk in that the Lizard is an entirely separate personality. And when he becomes the Lizard, he's a different person and he's an evil person. The only problem with Kirk Connors in the comics was always his ambition, that he was ambitious and that led to this Lizard personality. That was always, he was malicious. With this movie, though, he does look, Kirk Connors himself looks a little malicious. He looks like he's got some dirty secrets.
He looks pretty sketchy. Like, like when you see
I would not trust my kids with him.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. But, yeah, he's just like a kind of sketchy character, but we don't know how the story's going to play out yet. But
I can't imagine that they're going to make him that much more sketchier than he's in the comics, because he's got a kid in this, just like he does in the comics. So I'm imagining they're going to make him kind of a family man, but again, I think we have to wait for the movie, though, to see how they're going to characterize him.
Yeah, because he's a bit I feel like he's an offset character that plays, not offset, but you know what I'm talking about. He definitely plays a bigger role in this movie.
Yeah, then of course he did in the Tobey Maguire films. I also find it funny that, because, he wasn't in there.
Yeah, he was there probably like 2 times, and it was just like, for like a split second, I was like, oh, Dr. Connors, I'm sorry, and he's like, oh, okay, next scene, and then like, that's it. Yeah,
I find it funny that they were going to do the Lizard in this movie, because there was a Spider-Man 4 that was greenlit. I don't know if you heard about this.
I didn't. And I was actually going to say, I wasn't going to point it out, because I was freaking cold as hell, but you said, what was the director's name? Webb?
Mark Webb.
That's ironic.
Yeah, that's a pretty big irony.
I was going to say, I'm like, Mark Webb making a Spider-Man movie.
I wonder if that's the only reason he was chosen. Your name is Mark Webb. Would you like to direct a Spider-Man movie?
We need you.
It's fate.
It's fate.
What's a Spider-Man?
I don't know. Like, doesn't matter, you're Mark Webb. Come back.
So yeah, Spider-Man 4 was indeed greenlit. It was gonna have the Vulture as a villain. What the hell?
Vulture. He's like,
he's a one-trick pony. He's got one...
Like, if he was in a perspective of a game, he would be first boss, easy as hell, like tutorial level. He's like so side scrolled. I can't see Vulture doing anything that could really damage Manhattan and the society at all.
No, not at all. And what's also really scary is that, you know who Felicia Harding is?
Yes, he's Black Cat.
Yeah, she was gonna be a character called Voltress.
Voltress.
Yeah. So, Sam Raimi, you were a fan of Spider-Man, right? Anyway.
Yeah.
I digress. Yeah, Spider-Man 4 didn't get going because they wanted the Lizard as the villain. So
I have a question. Did Amazing Spider-Man, Mark Webb, did he already have rights? Like, after Spider-Man 3, were they already saying, like, we're making another Spider-Man and Lizard?
No, Sam Raimi was going to direct Spider-Man 4, and pretty much the day Spider-Man 4 died, The Amazing Spider-Man came to life.
Okay.
Amazing Spider-Man was rushed into production. This might hurt it in the long run, but I doubt it. I mean, they've been working on it long enough where I don't think this is going to matter. It was kind of rushed into production. Spider-Man 4 died, and nearly a week later they announced The Amazing Spider-Man. And I said to myself, that's not good. You don't.
It's a little far-fetched.
Yeah, and it was maybe it was a little more, but it was really soon after Spider-Man 4 was canceled. They just said, okay, we're gonna reboot it and we're gonna call it The Amazing Spider-Man. And then not so long after, they said, all right, Andrew Garfield's in it, and Mark Webb's directing.
Great.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I said, and I was like, as long as it's not Vulture, I'm cool.
Yeah. Well, say made like Vulture, like they wouldn't, because if they did, that'd just be terrible. It'd be like making like Hammerhead as the main villain. That'd be pretty dumb.
Oh my god, that would be well, if they did Kingpin,
I think he would have a run. definitely more than freaking Vulture and Hammerhead.
Yeah. Well, if they did Kingpin, they might be able to. They might be able to incorporate Hammerhead that way.
Yeah, because I would have said like it'd be like a Venom and Sandman thing, like a Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, which we don't want to see again.
Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man 2 was the best.
For sure, that was the greatest of all.
Yeah, I think that was the best one.
Which is the reason why I don't think we need to see Doc Ock in this new continuity.
Oh no. No, he's been like the way they revamped him in Spider-Man 2, because usually like he looks like kind of a douchebag in the comics, and they definitely
he has no rhyme or reason for doing anything in the comics besides the fact I'm evil and I'm going to destroy Spider-Man.
The arms, here we go, and I'm like, okay, calm down, and
go see a therapist.
Because in Spider-Man 2 it's like Dr. Octavius, and then like his wife dies, and he's like, I'm pissed off at the world now,
and he wasn't even really the villain. He was just kind of misguided.
Yeah, he was a bit like, I definitely. Yeah, now that I think about it, it was pretty, not that well thought out. But I think it was because he was, I'm kind of on the edge, because he was a scientist, and he's trying to harness, like, the sun's energy, I believe, and,
yeah, he was trying to master cold fusion, which is impossible, by the way, I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, it's,
yeah, it's a movie, I'm
kidding. Money's money, but, yeah.
I don't think we need to see Doc Ock in this new continuity, just because
I don't know how they would.
I don't know how they do it better.
Yeah.
Unless they just did straight mad scientist Doc Ock.
Yeah,
which would be awful.
Yeah, that'd be terrible, because they really stepped it up in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, they really did the best thing with the character I've ever seen. The only way, again, since they're going for more of an ultimate feel with this continuity, I think the only thing they could do that could possibly come close to being as good as the Alfred Molina Doc Ock would be to do an ultimate Doc Ock as a teenager and about a couple of years older than Peter Parker. And
list or something. I know where you're going with this, right?
Yeah, he has a love triangle with Mary Jane with Peter, and that was basically the whole crux of it. It wasn't great, but I think if they really had to do Doc Ock in this continuity, they could potentially do that. But we don't need it. We don't need it at all.
The villains that, if they were I think
Venom.
Yeah,
Big one is Venom. Big one is Venom.
If they redid Venom a lot better, I think he could definitely be a good villain.
Again, just do Ultimate Venom if you don't want to do regular continuity Venom. Just do that. That was great. If you
Ultimate Venom is just like, is he like possessed? Is like he like
Ultimate Venom is cool because they connect Eddie Brock and did you see the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon?
The cartoon?
Yeah, the one that came out a few years ago.
I saw a little of it, actually.
Well, the way they did Venom in that was really good. It was very Ultimate-esque. In that the symbiote it wasn't really an alien. It was more created in a lab, and it was created by the fathers of Peter Parker and Eddie Brock.
Yep.
So, I think that if you wanted to do Venom in this continuity, the best way to do it, if you didn't want to do regular universe Venom, then they could just do it, again, go back to the whole thing that they're setting up with this movie with, I forget Peter Parker's dad's name, but,
I think it's like Richard or something.
I think you're right, Richard Parker. If they wanted to do that, I think they could connect him and Richard Parker working on it at the Oscorp Labs with Doc Connors or something.
Yeah.
So that way you have a setup for Venom right in the first movie. Not that I'm saying they should do that, but I think that would be the best way to do Venom in this continuity. So other villains for you that you'd like to see in this continuity after this film? And then I guess we'll get back to this film, but for now, what other villains would you like to see in this continuity?
Hold on, I had to mute my mic for a minute.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Yeah, but,
So what other villains would you like to see in this continuity?
I think the ones that they could definitely work into it is probably Kingpin.
Yeah, I'd love to see Kingpin again.
I think he'd be definitely working with Hammerhead, though, because if it was just Kingpin, it'd be really...
He need to have goons that were... You know what, the thing about the Kingpin is that you could definitely do minor Spider-Man villains with that film, because you could have them just working for the Kingpin. Yeah. Like, you could do Shocker, Sandman would work good with that. Sandman should not have his own movie.
Yeah.
As a villain, Sam Raimi, what the hell's wrong with you? And then you could do, you know, Shocker, Rhino. You know, you could do with that.
Yeah. Rhino hasn't. I don't think he's appeared in any of these movies.
No. Well, Rhino's going to be in the Amazing Spider-Man video game.
Yeah. He's been in every one. He's been a very big side character. I don't even know like his story.
I know his origin, and it's not very impressive. He doesn't need. Let me just say, he doesn't need his own movie.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be the Spider-Man villain in a movie.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the first. I might be wrong with this, but this is just how much I know about Marvel. I actually think he started out as a villain for the Hulk, because I've read Hulk comics where he pops up.
Yeah, I think he would definitely suit more as a Hulk villain, because he's just really like off.
He likes to smash stuff, just like Hulk, so it fits.
Yeah, it's, you know, we're getting very sidetracked.
Yes, we are. We should get back to the movie.
But anyway, Amazing Spider-Man, it's coming out. What was I gonna say? Because we got sidetracked.
We got really badly sidetracked.
10 minutes of like what would happen in like 20 years. But God damn it. What were we talking about? God. What was I gonna say? I have a question.
Sure.
In the comics, when Stacy dies, well...
Whoa, you just cut out really bad.
Oh, my bad. Is it better now?
That works. So you want you want to talk about the death of Gwen Stacy?
Yes, because I know she dies in the comics.
Yes.
Yeah.
And from what the trailers I've been seeing in this movie, there is a bridge.
Well, actually,
there is a villain. I'm thinking that Gwen Stacy's gonna die at the end of this movie.
I'm not sure, but you know, we don't know, because I was looking at the game forum. It says like there's like the little plot bubble. It says, "Does this spoil the movie?" And it says, "We know the status of Gwen and Peter's relationship, fate of Dr. Connors, and I think that's all it said." But you know, we don't know what that means, because if it says fate, it can mean that Gwen dies. We don't know.
And I'm gonna be honest, because I don't think that there are gonna be a lot of Spidey fans out there who are gonna agree with me. I wouldn't care at all if Gwen dies in this movie, because
neither would I. Like, if they really like incorporate it well.
Yeah,
like it's just like, oh, giant glass spike through me, like on accident. You know, that'd be dumb. Like if it was like, you know.
Yeah.
But if it was like, oh, I gotta choose City or Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, they should do it just like they did with Green Goblin in the comics, and that'd be fine. Really though, the only purpose of Gwen in this continuity is so that when we bring Mary Jane in, she looks cooler.
Yeah.
Which this might sound like I'm stretching a little bit, but I really hope we see Mary Jane mentioned in this movie.
Yeah,
like, here's
maybe a cameo, like in Spider-Man 3, where Gwen Stacy was kind of a cameo.
Well, here's what I think they should do. I think that throughout the entire movie, she should be talked about, like, you know, how it was in the comics with Aunt May trying to hook her and Peter up. And then after Gwen dies and Peter's feeling all bad about himself, he goes, he goes home, and then all of a sudden she's there, and she's just like, face the tiger, you hit the jackpot, and then the movie just ends. That'd be great. I think that'd be epic. Are they gonna do it? I kind of doubt it, but I think that'd be the way to go with this film. But
definitely a stretch. But you know, we have to see again.
We gotta watch the movie first.
Theory crafting. But yeah, that was another question.
All right.
Because a lot of the trailer is like, oh, secrets. I'm like, secrets.
Yeah, it's a very secretive production for sure, and I think that's the best way to go. I want to be really surprised when I go see this movie in the theater.
Yeah, hopefully, because the game comes out almost a week prior to the movie.
I'm gonna wait till after I see the movie. Like I did this with Clash of the Titans, which I didn't even buy the game because it was awful. Or not Clash of the Titans. What am I talking about? Shit, Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider, the game came out way before the movie did, and the game had nothing to do with the movie, thank God. But
if you're hearing music, it's my brother. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, like the games, like they said, like in the Game Informer again, it said like, will it spoil the movie? And I'm like, well, it depends. It's like if you're pretty like up to with Spider-Man, like the comics, it's pretty like, you know, it's like you're probably. like, there's a lot of things about the movie that definitely won't be revealed in the game. But,
yeah, it's very hard to surprise comic book fans with movies. Like, look at Watchmen. Yeah, about that. Anyway,
yeah, like, because how much can you really give away in a game? Because in the movie, there's definitely going to be a lot more, like, content that won't be...
There's going to be more story, for sure. I hope so, anyway. There's going to be more of a driving narrative in a movie. And I mean, in a game, they're probably going to focus more on gameplay. So I don't think we're going to get any spoilers in the game.
Like they said, there was minor. That's what they said in the thing. It was very minor. Like, and they said if you notice them, then, like, it's pretty, like, what's the word? Like, you wouldn't, like, you'd, like, assume it already. Yeah,
I think with the game, we're gonna pretty much, if you know Spider-Man comics, you'll be able to guess the spoilers from a mile away.
Yeah, that's what they were saying, though. Like, if you're, like, upbeat on the comics, you're pretty much just gonna know, like, you know, how the movie's gonna foretell anyway, besides, like, the secret stuff.
Yeah, like the Peter's parents thing, that's gonna be new, but, like, you know, we know he's not gonna be the Lizard by the end of the movie anymore. Like, we know something's gonna happen.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there might be a choice involved. I'm definitely thinking there might be a choice.
Well, this is Spider-Man, so there's. Yes. I'm sure there will be choices involved.
Like, you know, like a serious choice. Like, do I save my girlfriend that is Emma Stone, or do I save the city, which is everyone else?
Emma Stone, everyone else. That's a tough choice.
Stakes are high.
Yeah, the stakes are very high.
I think you might pick the city, and then, like, Emma Stone dies tragically, or, like, it'd be really... She's like, oh, hey, Peter. And, like, oh my god, everything went better than expected.
And then everyone's dead, and they're just, like, making out, and then that's it. Spider-Man Apocalypse!
I Am Legend 2, featuring Spider-Man. Totes.
Featuring Vigilante Spider-Man with shades.
Yep.
So, any other theories you would like to construct before we move on a little bit more into the game?
Yes, because we've pretty much talked about all I've been needing to talk about.
With the movie, anyway.
With the movie, because there's not much we can talk about since we haven't seen the movie yet, but I think we should definitely do a video after we've seen the movie.
Oh, yeah, we should definitely do a review.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And that's probably going to be longer than the movie is. No, I'm kidding. That would be
longer than that'd be.
I saw this Avengers review, which was almost half the length of the movie. It was like an hour and a half long. I was like, wow.
There may be some spoilers here.
That's hardcore.
The off chance there may be some spoilers.
Yeah. Well, if it's half the length of the movie, I would suppose so.
Yes, we should definitely get into the game now.
Yes, let's get into the game before we get even more off track.
So, they are starting Beanox. They pretty much were in a rut since Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of reworking that now, which is what everyone wants.
Did they do Web of Shadows?
They did, I think. I don't know if they did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. But they're definitely trying to make it like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Not like exactly, but like definitely free roam. They added free roam in Manhattan. Do whatever you want.
Yeah. This game looks very, very similar to Spider-Man 2.
Yes, but...
Not saying it's a bad thing.
New mechanic. Probably everyone's talking about the web rush. I don't know if you saw the trailer for it.
I did.
Yes, it looks... I think it's definitely going to be a good feature, but I don't know how they would make it in kind of like you choose and then like just quick cut to another one and like another one and another one. Like, I don't know how they would really do that.
Yeah, the one thing I'm gonna say is that I don't know how they're gonna make this game different enough to hold up on its own to set it apart from Spider-Man 2 and Web of Shadows. I mean, the last two Spider-Man games we've had. Shattered Dimensions and Edge of Time, which I haven't played Edge of Time. I have Web of Shadows, and it's all right. Shattered Dimensions, excuse me. Shattered Dimensions.
I didn't play that one. I was considering it.
Imagine Batman Arkham Asylum with Spider-Man.
Right. Well, that's actually what they're doing with this one. They're not really, because
Well, it's not the same format. Like Web of I mean, I keep getting this mixed up. Shattered Dimensions was like it was closed and it wasn't like open world.
Yeah,
you had a very set path. There was a lot more stealth takedowns.
Levels.
Yep. So I'm glad to see Spider-Man back free roaming.
Yes.
But again, I caution Beanox in that they really need to make this a different experience. And what I'm going to say right here, they need to make it somehow story driven.
Yeah. Because all the Spider-Man movies, if they just follow the plot, that'd be really dumb. Because the Spider-Man, games. My bad. They're usually after the story. That's what the Amazing Spider-Man game is. It's after the story. That's why there's like the spoilers. But
yeah, and
that's
the Spider-Man games are especially the ones based on the
mic just cut.
Oh damn it! All right, hold on.
Whatever you just said.
Sorry. How's that?
That's good.
All right. So the Spider-Man movie games, not necessarily the Spider-Man games in general. They have had really bad storytelling. Like, the story is just, you can't even follow it. So back to the game. I really think that this thing needs to have a comprehensible story. And not just something that's all over the place. Because that's going to put it up there with good movie games. Like, I don't know if you played the game based on X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I have not.
That thing is awesome. It's a great game. Yeah, I was really surprised. It's a really, really good hack and slash game. And I really hope that this... Oh, I know why it is. The wire's crossed.
Okay.
How's that?
That's good.
The wire was crossed, damn it. Alright. So there you go.
Yes, you were talking about Wolverine.
Yeah, the Wolverine game. And the reason was because, one, it had a comprehensible story. Two, the gameplay was very Wolverine. 3, the game didn't follow the movie. A little bit. It did a little bit, but it only followed the movie where it needed to, so it could be connected to the movie. Otherwise, it told its own story. Like, it involved Sentinels, and it involved
Sentinels. It
involved Mystique. You know, and they explained the birth of Nightcrawler.
Yay.
It went all over the place, and it was a good exploration of the X-Men lore, and I kind of hope that's what they do with this game. They're doing Rhino in the game, which we saw in the trailer.
They're doing. All right, this is what I've been looking on the Facebook page, Hero HQ, and the other things, and obviously Lizard's gonna be in it. I don't know if it's gonna be Lizard or it's gonna be like some sort of lizard mob.
Yeah, because they did the Lizard in the Spider-Man 3 game.
Yeah.
And they did lizard creatures in that.
Black Cat is in it though. There's
really?
A screenshot right here. I'll link it to you.
Because she was also in Spider-Man 3, the game.
Well, you know, they gotta incorporate something.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that might not be it. That might not be it. I think that's better. But yeah, she's gonna be in it.
And she looks very Arkham City inspired.
Yes. But what I was saying, the combat, it's definitely Arkham City. They said in the Game Informer, which I read like the entire article. I'm like a nerd. They said one primary attack button, which would be X or I know.
Yeah. I really hope they focus on. I really hope they focus on web combat, because that's my favorite part of playing a Spider-Man game.
Yeah. I know there's gonna be the web stealth takedowns.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But yeah, what's that? You know, we can't talk this much about this topic because we haven't seen the movie and we haven't played the game.
Right. Yeah. This is very much so. We're grabbing the air and pulling out whatever we want.
Yeah, we pretty much had a 10-minute session about villains that probably won't even be in the movie. And now we're talking about this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Alternate costumes, by the way. I think ruin it if there was, but I think I would like it if there was some. Maybe, definitely a few.
I wouldn't want to see the black symbiote costume.
Definitely not.
Because that would be awkward if they did it in another game, and or if they did another movie and then they had to do it in the game, it'd be really awkward.
I think what I'm trying to say is like movie-based alternate costumes, like that.
Yeah, like I wouldn't mind seeing like the classic Spidey costume.
That'd be funny.
Like, you know, Scarlet Spider costume, stuff like that. Actually, even Spider-Man or Miles Morales' costume or stuff like that. And Miles Morales, for those of you watching out there in TV land who don't know, is currently the Ultimate Spider-Man because Peter Parker is dead in that continuity. So, woo. So he has a very different costume. So if they bring that in, that'd be cool. But
yeah, I think it would have to be. I don't think after you beat the game, but definitely further.
Well,
definitely you have to do more challenges, like get a bunch of these, do a bunch of this.
Yeah, I want you to have to earn it, because one example that I always like to point to in terms of gaming is Predator Concrete Jungle, which is one of my favorite PS2 games. In that you got like every single screen incarnation of Predator ever in this game, and you had to find all the skins though, and you had to fight certain bosses in order to get them. And you know, so then you got that particular Predator, and generally that boss had something to do with that particular version of Predator. Like for the classic Predator costume, you had to fight an Austrian guy, so fun. So yeah,
another thing.
Go
Just
ahead.
gonna put this out there. They're adding durability, kind of. If Spider-Man gets punched in the face and stuff, his suit will wear down. Which I think is a little thing that, is...
That I'd like to see that, like, progressing battle damage like we had in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
I didn't like it that much in Arkham Asylum because it's like, once you beat, like, one part, like, it's just like, oh, now there's a hole in your cape, and then you do another part. It's like, oh, now you have a black eye. And
I liked it. I personally thought it was a good touch.
I think it was a good touch, but the way they kind of incorporated it...
And then in Arkham City, it was, like, increased tenfold.
Yeah.
Now we've got veins popping out. Anyway, so Arkham City's a different discussion. Back to Spider-Man.
Definitely a lot of Arkham City incorporated because they've...
When a game's that successful, you try to rip it off.
I hope it's not an Arkham City ripoff.
I don't think it will be, but I think they're definitely going to take inspiration from it.
Yeah, definitely. Freaking Beanox turned on their brains and they said, oh, Batman's doing good. And they're like, let's look at some aspects that we could do, but incorporating the agile, agility and webs and stuff.
Yeah. Right. They definitely need to keep it Spider-Man, but I think they should definitely say, hey, this game's successful and this game's awesome. Why?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got a comprehensible story.
The story, it's like Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. They were fresh. They weren't movie-based, which was kind of I liked because it was fresh.
Yeah, that was really cool. Of course, though, we had Shattered Dimensions. Excuse me.
There you go.
And Edge of Time, which also weren't a movie game, and also were written by the current writer of Spider-Man, Dan Slott. Neither of them were that great of stories, but hey, Dan Slott's not exactly the most praised Spider-Man writer.
Yes.
So, make of that what you will. But the point was that they were at least taking what made Arkham Asylum and Arkham City successful and putting them in their game. Although I thought it was a mistake to release Edge of Time the same month as Arkham City. What the hell's wrong with you people?
Yeah, let's put out a game that probably won't sell as much as this game, but I think we'll have a good run. No.
I mean, at least Shattered Dimensions had the know-how to release that a year after Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, I was considering buying Shattered Dimensions. It actually looked good. It looked pretty. It didn't look, amazing, but it looked playable.
Yeah, it's good, but it's an Arkham Asylum ripoff, and not a very effective one. But the really great thing about that game is that the alternate dimensions of Spider-Man are really interesting, like the noir version of Green Goblin.
Noir. I was looking at that one, and
I want to read that comic series.
Is that yeah, I was gonna ask, is that a thing?
Yeah, that's an alternate dimension Spider-Man miniseries. I haven't read it.
The symbiote.
Well, that's Ultimate Spider-Man.
Pretty obvious, but Noir, they could have thrown in so many different other Spider-Mans, but Noir, definitely a thumbs up.
Yeah, but they didn't need to do Ultimate. I mean, okay, I get amazing. That's the traditional Spider-Man, and he's voiced by Neil Patrick Harris. Cute, but why'd you have to do Ultimate? Like, I mean, it's practically
really
the same. Well, yeah, there's tons of differences, but like, it's the same characterization, just he's younger. And also they said, okay, let's give him the black costume, and I'm just like, you didn't. I get the fact that the black suit Spider-Man's popular. Yeah.
All right. Well.
We're way off topic.
Yeah, I think we've talked about all I mean talked about.
All right.
Definitely, me and you, we're gonna do a response video after we play the game, after we see the movie, give a review on both.
Yeah, for sure. We should definitely do a chat, and who knows, Gorzard, if you're listening, maybe you'll be able to join us for those.
Yes. You know.
He was the guy who was supposed to join us.
Yes, my bad that he couldn't join.
No, he has to get a new computer. So,
okay.
If you're watching, dude, get yourself a frickin' HP.
HP, yeah, there you go. 5.
Anyway, not that I'm advertising it or anything. All right, so thank you very much for listening. We'll see you all soon. Definitely check out the movie and the game, and we'll report back on our feelings on it when we see it. So I'm Zazubaar.
And I'm LEGOMANIAC.
Signing off.
Awesome.